Hey guys, welcome to the weekly energy update for December 20th to December 26th. This is a really big week. This is the crescendo. This is the end of 2020. I mean, we still have like 5 days next week before we hit 2021, but this is the great Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. This is also called the Great Mutation. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. One of the things that's happening this week, overall energy that will be, it's just kind of like behind the scenes, in the shadows, sort of lurking around a little bit. We have Uranus, which is in Taurus, and Lilith, which is in Taurus, and they are conjunct. They actually went conjunct on the 19th. And we're starting this week off on the 20th. But so we have this like overlying Lilith and Uranus theme that's going on, along with all of this Aquarius energy with Saturn and Jupiter. So, and what does that mean? But so Uranus is the planet of innovation, it's future, it's forward momentum, and Lilith is dark moon, right? Lilith has been perceived as the feminine wound or the feminine darkness or the feminine dark sexuality. That's changing. That whole idea of who Lilith is to people. Yes, there's this really great, big, huge mythology thing that's going on, but it's really about the feminine fully stepping into her power. And that doesn't mean in an egoic kind of way. It's more about just understanding her confidence and understanding who she is. And so that's sort of like, and I don't know that many astrologers are really going to be talking about it. It's sort of like a shadowy, like it's behind this, it's happening behind the scenes, but it's really right in front of our faces. So there's this rise to the feminine that's really happening right now. And so if you are a feminine energy, and remember that we all hold that masculine and feminine energy within ourselves, even if you are a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. We hold both energies, you know, to create that balance within ourselves. And when we are healing, and we went through during Thanksgiving, the week of Thanksgiving, it was a really deep healing of the feminine kind of wounds that were happening. And then last week, we had Chiron, like that whole aspect that we had with Chiron happening all week long. It was very much clearing out the space for the feminine to rise up. That sort of leads me into, I'll be holding a masterclass in February with a really good friend of mine. And we're going to talk about how to be the best feminine energy that you can be, because it's been skewed for the last several centuries. It's been skewed as to like, what is a woman's place in this world, and where's the balance in all of that, and where do we, you know, because women energy, we are the creators, we are the ones that, you know, go forth and really start to shift things into a future momentum. But we haven't really had the opportunity or the chance to do that in the kind of energy that we're supposed to be doing it in. We're, you know, a lot of women really like stand very strong and have to be in charge and have to be the breadwinners and have to be the ones that are in control. And that's changing, along with a lot of other societal things that are changing as well. But that's just sort of an energy with Uranus, that future forward momentum, conjunct Lilith. The feminine energy is shifting in a whole new and different perspective. So if you're really strong within that feminine energy, if you know that you hold mainly feminine energy within you, you've probably been seeing a lot of deep clearing of the wounds that you've been holding for yourself. A lot of it probably has to do with like body image. I know I'm guilty of that. Or just genuinely like softening yourself into your world and into your space. So keep that in mind as we talk through the things that are going on, because that will be an energy as well. I have a lot of hair today. I mean, I always have a lot of hair, but man, it's really stealing the show today. Okay, so Sunday, the 20th, the sun is conjunct Mercury. The sun is actually conjunct Mercury today as well. I'm doing this on Friday, the 18th. And we sort of, like the sun and Mercury are just like in this sort of conjunction for a few days, like a back and forth as the sun will shift into Capricorn and Mercury will shift also into Capricorn. So the sun is conjunct Mercury. There's a lot of positive mental stimulation, and it's like allowing yourself to point that arrow, because the sun is in Sagittarius at this point. Mercury is still in Sagittarius. They're coming together. And this is right before Mercury moves into Capricorn. They will conjoin in Sagittarius. So it's like Sunday is that day to really point that arrow, the Sagittarius arrow, and point it in the direction, that future forward momentum that you want to go in, and allow yourself to think positively about it. Allow yourself to really uplift those aspects of yourself in order to push forward. It hasn't been easy to do that this year, and we're really getting a great opportunity at the end of the year to get that smack on the ass that we all sort of needed to get going this year. So then Mercury moves into Capricorn. With Mercury in Capricorn, it's really time to organize yourself. It's time to organize your thoughts. It's time to wrap up things. It's time to figure out ways to be productive for long-term gains. I actually know a couple of people that have their Mercury in Capricorn, and they are like straight shooters. They do not mince their words. I actually know this really sweet little 4-year-old boy that has his Mercury in Capricorn, and he will look at you and tell you when you're doing it wrong. And it's just the most adorable thing. But yeah, so Mercury in Capricorn, they can be very strict. Mercury in Capricorn people, they can be very strict, but it's usually for the betterment. It's like, how can we make things better? How can we produce results with our words, right? So we're all sort of moving, into that Capricorn energy on Sunday. The moon will be in Pisces. It's joining Neptune. So really listen to your emotional intuition and all of those intuitive responses. Really pay attention to yourself. Pay attention to that little voice that we like to ignore sometimes. We really like to ignore that little voice sometimes. Okay. So then the big day, the 21st, Saturn and Jupiter conjunct on the 21st at 1:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at 0 degrees and 29 seconds Aqua in Aquarius, right? So this is also the day of the winter solstice. This is where we have the longest night. So it's the darkest night of the year. And we also have the sun entering Capricorn. So it's the first day of Capricorn season. That morning, it'll be at 5 o'clock in the morning Eastern Standard Time, where Capricorn, or where the sun moves into Capricorn. And again, having that Mercury conjunction right there. So still there and still really wanting to be productive and still really wanting to pay attention to what our goals and long-term things are going to be. It's really the sun in Capricorn is making us be a little bit more responsible. It's really fun to be in Sagittarius season. It happens so fast. Sagittarius season is like that, right? It's like Thanksgiving is here and then it's gone. And then there's Christmas. It's it feels like there's not even a month in between the two. With Sagittarius season, it happens so fast. But this is all putting a sense of responsibility and maturity to our days after that really fast-moving Sagittarius energy. But everything that we wanted to start during Sagittarius season, or everything that we wanted to apply during Sagittarius season, we can now be productive on in Capricorn season, because everything feels a little bit more organized. Everything feels a little bit more like it's in place and not so chaotic and all over everywhere. Really manage your time during this Capricorn season. The energy is going to shift so dramatically with this Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, and just genuinely generally having Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius is just going to make the energy so much better, right? It's just going to be amazing and so much better. So yeah, so we have the winter solstice, the sun entering Capricorn, and the great conjunction. So this great conjunction happens every 20 years, and this is also a great mutation because we're moving into a new element. So we're moving from earth into air, and the great mutation happens where we shift elements every 200 years. So it's 10 cycles in each of the 10 cycles of 20 years of great conjunctions in each of the elements. So there are 10 cycles, 20 years of each cycle in all 4 of the elements. And so now we're shifting the great mutation. We're shifting from earth energy into air energy, and everything is lightening up a little bit more. Everything is creating a more open kind of feeling. This is really a new beginning for humanity, because if you think about what Saturn represents in Aquarius, where like Saturn in Earth or Saturn in Capricorn is more about capitalism, more about production, more about gains, more about like individual gains and individual capitalism, where we shift really into Saturn in Aquarius is going to be more, not necessarily like socialism at it, you know, but like thinking about where Aquarius is for the betterment of humanity. And so Saturn is really going to be teaching us a lot of lessons, and conjuncting with Jupiter, that's the expansion. That's this really great, huge expansion of a new and brighter and better day, something that is more rooted in how can I help you? How can I be there for you? You know, how can we all work together to build a community that's functioning, and it's not breaking people down, and it's not telling, you know, you can't do this because you're in a different caste system, or you're in a different, you know, you're in a different like money bracket, or, you know, tax bracket, or whatever, right? Like, so this is really about joining people together. This is really about creating a new type of uplifting, instead of like smashing, like, you know, you have to do everything in this particular way. And with Saturn in Capricorn, we really started to see the fall of a lot of government, you know, the whole, like the pandemic that we had showed a lot of gaps and a lot of holes within the government, you know, because when it's not working as a well-oiled machine, people are hungry, people are starving, people are losing their houses, people are getting evicted, people are, you know, all of that stuff, right? And those are just facts. Like, that's not even my opinion. There was a lot of not working together through the system because of whatever red tape is involved. You know, we've made all of these rules for so many years, and then when we need it the most, all of those rules and all of that red tape worked against us instead of for us, right? And I say us as a whole because some people didn't have a horrible 2020. Some people had a ridiculously horrible 2020, and it's still moving forward into 2021. A lot of people aren't even happy about, or even scared. A lot of people are scared about moving into 2021 because it's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? What are we going to see? And we have to remember that, you know, as we progress forward, this is sort of like the beginning of a new age of humanity and community involvement, and less what can I do for myself and more what can I do for you kind of thing. And those are the lessons that we're going to be learning. Saturn is here to teach us lessons. He's not just going to like let us all just sit back and, you know, wait for things to show up or wait for things to happen for us. He's going to show us, this is what you need to learn in order to move forward, and this is what you're going to do in order to move into the future. Like, that's what Saturn is here for. That's what he does, right? So really, really allowing yourself to remember that this is less about gaining control and more about being free. The healthiest expression of Aquarius would be supporting the inspired individual expression. That's the healthiest expression of an Aquarius energy. So this is more on a basis of being free and not bound and not boxed in. So it's going to be really interesting as we move forward, and they're going to be conjunct for couple of weeks. Like, you know, they're going to move into the 1 degree and then the 2 degree, but because this is all starting at the 0 degree and it's conjuncting at 0 degree Aquarius, it really is a new beginning and a new shift into a new era. And it's not going to be without its bumps and bruises, but it is ultimately going to be for the betterment of humanity. And there's a lot of love and light that's going to come out of this. There's going to be kind of a collective awakening also that'll probably happen to a lot of people, especially those who did go through a lot of tragedy and trauma in 2020. They may recognize that things have to shift and change, that you can't just sit in that sadness and you can't sit in that trauma and hope and expect for the next day to be better. you sort of have to pick yourself up and do it yourself, but you're not alone. When you're in this kind of energy, you're not alone. And you can see that you're not alone too. So it's going to be a really interesting energy shift, I think. I'm really excited to see it. Also, you can see this with the naked eye. So if you want to go out on Monday evening, you will be able to see in the sky Jupiter and Saturn conjunct. It's going to look like a really bright star. A lot of people are calling it the Christmas star or the North Star also, but it will be there. All right, so moving on to Tuesday, the 22nd, we have the moon in Aries joining Chiron, and we also have Chiron trining Venus. So there's this really interesting, you might be a little bit agitated on Tuesday. There might be some agitation with that Aries moon joining Chiron trine Venus, but healing of relationships in a really deep way. And so we've talked about how like Chiron in Aries is like the wounded warrior. It's sort of a refinement by fire. You find all of those wounds so that you can stand up and be the best you, the best individual you that you can be. And when we have the moon joining up with Chiron, the emotional burst that can happen with people can be a little bit frightening if you're not ready for it. So in relationships and stuff, these are the kind of aspects that are going to show whether relationships are strong or whether they're just going to fall apart. Like these are the kind of aspects that see where those ties to each other, like how are we really moving with each other and how are we really relating to each other, and are we being kind about it? Are we listening to the wounds of the other person and understanding them instead of like maybe even using it against it, right? A lot of people will use your wounds against you and do that whole gaslighting thing. And so this is that kind of energy where you can see that. But also Venus represents values and like what values you? How does that value? And with Venus in Sagittarius, it's about freedom. So this is sort of that warrior and freedom aspect. Like I can't be boxed in. I have to be free. I have to really allow myself to open up to what it is that I need in order to love and value myself, right? So you're going to, this is one of those aspects where you will recognize whether a relationship is there for the long haul or whether it's just going to be something that's like, well, I guess we're not strong enough to get through, you know, these kind of crazy things as well that goes on. Wednesday on the 23rd, Mars is squaring Pluto. We also have Mercury squaring Chiron that day. So because Mercury is now in Capricorn and Mercury will be squaring Chiron, lots of wounded energy talking. There's going to be like, this is where we can like get it all out. So on Tuesday, when we recognize and we get the triggers, and then Wednesday shows up and it may be that you just want to talk about those wounds, and it's like more apparent, it's more in your face. They're very surface level wounds. You know, we talked about on Thanksgiving where we had that pretty strong Chiron aspect with the Aries moon on Thanksgiving, and how the wounds were like just on the surface, right? And so now is not the time to just slap a Band-Aid on it and run away. We really want to make sure that we are like getting those wounds healed, like, you know, putting that surgical glue, right? Or like stitching them up or putting that surgical glue in, and creating a space for ourselves where we know that we don't want to go backwards, where we know we don't want to feel that wound again. So finally getting it all out and finally clearing that out of us. The Mars square Pluto is a big power play. So with that Mercury squaring Chiron and Mars squaring Pluto, it's a really big power play. Be very, very careful. People may be extremely angry on Wednesday. I'm not even kidding. It's like 2 days before Christmas. Of course, it's like perfect timing. Everybody's rushing to get all of everything done during a pandemic. Like, be careful on the roads. If you're traveling for Christmas, if you're going to see family or anything, kind of hope everybody's staying home. But if you are planning on traveling, if you are planning on going anywhere for Christmas and you're leaving on Wednesday, please be very careful on the road. Nobody is going to give a shit whether you are there or not on the road. So you stay out of the way. Don't do the aggro, angry, aggressive driving. It will backfire on you. The moon is also going to conjunct Mars. So there's going to be a lot of big emotions, big anger, big emotions. You don't have to be angry. It doesn't have to be that way. You can allow yourself to really just feel empowered. Like, let this Mars square Pluto empower you and make you feel really good about everything that's moving forward. A lot of people are going to be angry, but you can also have a really empowering day on Wednesday if that's what you choose. Remember, it's always a choice. Like, don't even let the transits make you feel a certain way. Like, there are some transits that I can't get past because, like, they're just going to make me feel that way whether I like it or not. But for the most part, you get to choose how a transit helps you or hinders you, for sure. So then we have Christmas Eve. For those of you that are celebrating Christmas this year or celebrate Christmas every year, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. Christmas Eve on the 24th, Mercury's trining Uranus, and the moon in Taurus is going to be squaring Saturn and Jupiter. So this is really going to be a good day to wrap up all of your projects. There's a high, like, if you need to get things done before Christmas, Christmas Eve is actually a really good day. Monday is going to be Sunday will be really good to do that. And probably even Tuesday would be pretty good to do that as well. Maybe Sunday and Monday, and then on Thursday. Those would be good days for you to get your Christmas shopping. I know that's really silly to talk about, but you know, some people need to know. Some people need to know that. But yeah, so there's going to be a lot of, with that Mercury trining Uranus. I love a good Mercury trine Uranus transit because, man, it's like so future forward, and it's really thinking ahead and having a lot of insights and feeling really mentally quick, right? There's like a mental quickness. It's like giving, you know, Mercury is quicksilver, right? So when we give that quicksilver an extra boost, that's what Mercury trine Uranus is. And so it's going to be a really good, uplifting kind of mental day. Some people might feel a little bit irritable. A lot of people don't like that, especially if their own personal Mercury in your natal chart is aspected in a negative way or in a bad way in some way. Like, I know some people that have Mercury square Saturn or Mercury square Chiron, and they don't like a Mercury Uranus transit at all, like none of it, because it just irritates that that extra lesson or those extra wounds, or it's just a little bit more difficult to get through. So it might be a little bit irritating for some people on Thursday, but this is going to be a really good day to wrap up projects and really prepare for the holiday weekend. Remember that we're also coming up into where Mars will be ingressing into Taurus from being in Aries, and that's going to happen in January. And so we're going to have Mars conjunct Uranus squaring Saturn for the first couple of months of 2021. And that's that big transit that I keep talking about that might make things a little bit shaky in the beginning of the year. But because that aspect is already sort of kind of happening with this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, there is going to be a shakeup. Like, this is not going to be a smooth sailing kind of week. This is going to be like one of those weeks that is sort of like up and down and up and down and up and down. You may feel really, really good one day and really, really low the next day. That's sort of what happened to me last week after the solar eclipse that we had. I was just wiped out for 2 days, and I know that we were going through like this Neptune aspect as well through all of it. So it was like just dragging things out to the most, but that may be like another repeat. Like, you may have another repeat. It sort of just depends on where you are in your journey and how confident you are with being able to look at the things that are coming up. I think that's the biggest thing for everybody right now is, you know, when those wounds come up, when that sadness comes up, when those triggers come up, don't ignore it. Don't try and push it away. Don't try and push it down. I know it's really uncomfortable, but that's the thing, is within that discomfort, that's when we really start to shine, because we have to get rid of the gunk. We have to get rid of all of those things that we keep holding in ourselves. And so that's what these weeks are sort of like pushing out of us so that we can step into a new fresh energy. So if you're not feeling like you're stepping into a new fresh energy and you're not feeling this boost of moving forward and future momentum and things happening in a really positive way, you may want to look at some of the things that you're holding really deep inside of you also. All right, so then we get to Christmas Day on the 25th on Friday. The moon is going to be in Taurus. The sun is going to be squaring Chiron while the moon is in Taurus. The sun square Chiron will really bring those warrior wounds to the surface. Like, you won't be able to hide with a sun squaring Chiron. So just, you know, really preparing yourself. Like, if you are getting together with family and you know that certain people trigger certain things in your life or trigger certain things about you, you may just want to, like, keep it distant. I mean, if you don't want to have an uproar on Christmas Day, or you want to wait until later or something like that, you know, because it could just be very, like, the wounds are going to be very much on the surface. Like, it's going to be it's going to be hard to hide them. So the good positive thing is that the moon is in Taurus, and having the moon in Taurus is just, it makes everybody feel really good because it's really grounding, and it's like everybody wants to eat really good food when the moon is in Taurus. So, you know, I think the best thing is do what's best for yourself. Like, if you don't want to be triggered by family so much, then, you know, prepare yourself before you get there. You know, prepare and be like, I am not going to let this person, whatever. And then if it happens, it happens. Like, it was supposed to come up, it was supposed to happen. There's nothing wrong with it if you get triggered. But if you just, you know, if you're like the kind of person that's like, I don't want to make a scene, that's how I used to be, and now I just don't really care. But I get it. I understand, like, not wanting to make a scene with family members. I get that in a big way. But just kind of pay attention to where your emotional triggers would possibly be, and you know, be in control of where you're placing yourself in the situation on Christmas Day. And then we get to Saturday the 26th. The moon is in Taurus, trining Pluto. What do we really need to see on a deeper emotional level with that moon trining Pluto? The moon will shift into Gemini later on in the day towards the evening, and it's going to trine Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, still conjunct in Aquarius. And this is sort of helping us create an emotional maturity. It's like, all right, let's get things done now. It's like really interesting to have that Saturday, that Gemini moon aspect happening late on Saturday, because I think that a lot of people are actually going to want to go out and have a good time on Saturday. I just want, you know, as we move into this energy, we're going to be not feeling so boxed in. And I think that people are going to, like, right away, I think people are going to be like, I want my freedom. I'm tired of being boxed in. Like, I could see with this Saturn and Jupiter conjunction where people are just angry about having to be quarantined, or about having to be in isolation or at a distance, or not being able to get to, because Aquarius is like friends and community and family and, you know, all of that, and wanting to get together and celebrations and innovation and moving forward and and like all of the stuff, right? All of the things that we have to do, but it's like out here and we are being told that we have to stay here. So I could actually see a lot of uprisings or like a lot of protests beginning to happen. And I think that like in a different kind of way, we all sort of just need to start thinking about everybody. And not be so worried about like how this is affecting me personally. I know that there are going to be two sides of every coin. There are always going to be two different sides of everybody, but I think that this is going to help show where that division actually is, and who is really trying to better things for humanity, and who is really trying to just do things to better themselves. And you know, so I think that there are going to be a lot of instances where people are just tired of having to stay at home, and they're just ready to be able to get out and do things. So be cautious of how people are acting. People are going to do the most. People are going to always do the most. That's just where it is. Just remember that you cannot control what other people do. You can only control yourself. And you only have power over your own emotions. And nobody has power over your emotions but you. So reminding yourself that the perception that other people have that they can trigger you, or the perception that other people have that they can make you do anything that you don't want to do is just that. It's only a perception. And you actually have the key to have your own power and your own sense of freedom and stability. So keep that in mind with all of these really big energies. I hope you guys have a really wonderful week. Thanks for stopping by. And big stuff, big stuff, big stuff. I'm really excited for it. Have a wonderful holiday. Please stay safe. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.